On this super fantastic episode of UTR, we've been pulling shows off the air that have had segments close in them, wondering, what should we do with that show? Well, enter this idea. On this episode of UTR, we feature a show built around 6 segments you may have totally forgotten about. Get ready to explore the cool people, places, and things that are Michigan.
A visit to the Stahl's Auto Collection will take you back to a time when cars were more than just a way to get around. A fantastic assortment of gas pumps, neon signs, and automated music machines dating back 150 years that must be seen and heard. Info at stahlsauto.com. Support provided by Destination Ann Arbor, your gateway to Chelsea, Dexter, Manchester, Milan, Saline, Ypsilanti, and Ann Arbor.
We've been around the world,
But there's one place we keep coming back to.
and the more we explore,
The more we realize,
it's the place to be. I'm Tom Dalton,
I'm Jim Edelman,
and this is
Under the Radar, Michigan. Looking back on the 14 seasons of Under the Radar, there are some shows that are just no longer on the air because of business and that show is closed. The way I see it, it's time to dig out those hard drives and make those shows into what you're about to see. We're calling it the Little Lost Alumni episode. I'm Jim Edelman. Tom and I have been working on UTR together since we started it, and it's been the most rewarding thing we have ever done. So sit back and enjoy this show. It'll be packed with surprises and hopefully people you haven't seen in a while.
On our way out of town the next day, we ran into a place that I just have to show you.
Now, what would you say if I told you that just outside of Alpena, there's some folks that have over 20 dinosaurs in their backyard? Hey, I heard that.
It's called Dinosaur Gardens. It's just south of Alpena, and it's an absolute trip. A trip back in time. The park is a walking tour that lets you see what these giants must have looked like as they roamed the earth millions of years ago. The owner, Frank McCourt, gave us a great perspective on 2 of my favorite dinosaurs.
Now, I noticed you've got the Triceratops, which is also used to be one of my favorite, and the T-Rex right across the path from each other. Is that on purpose? Or?
That is on purpose, sir. They used to fight, and the T-Rex obviously has tremendously powerful jaws, and he used to go for the neck. You can see from the Triceratops that its neck is protected by 3 horns and a horny plate. And so that's why they were placed the way they were.
Who'd usually win?
Well, it was depended on which day it was.
Really, the Triceratops could actually sometimes...
Well, if he could get underneath his jaws and into his belly with the horns,
Then he'd have him.
then he'd have him.
We had an absolute blast. I felt just like a kid again, and thanks to Frank, I learned a ton more about dinosaurs. And as for our time we spent in Alpena, it was awesome.
Now we're heading back to season 1 to meet Dabbles in his African Bead Museum in Detroit. His collection includes some amazing historic beads and necklaces that bring out the art and love that was put into these beads when they were first conceived.
Now on to another cultural experience here in Detroit that'll expand your horizons all the way to another continent.
If you've ever been driving around Detroit, you've probably seen the building behind me here and wondered, what the heck is that? Well, I'm gonna go find out right now from the guy who's responsible for it. And you might wanna come with me, it's freezing out.
I'm at Dabble's African Bead Museum, and just walking around the building is an awesome experience. The entire outside of the museum is an artistic expression of the man inside, and that man is Dabbles.
Yeah, I found your place on the WeberNet, you know,
Yes.
that thing you need for the computer for.
Yes.
And the pictures of this place fascinated me. And when I got here, it's even more fascinating and more incredible when you see it up close and personal, the building here. What is it exactly you do here?
We are an African bead museum, and the goal was originally to preserve beads. We were going to take a building and show beads and have people coming in to see the beads. We ran out of money, so we decided to just beautify the place.
Dabbles is a true character, and you can tell he's put his heart and soul into this. Walking the grounds with him and learning about the history and culture that surrounds his place was a great way to spend the afternoon. And I even got to meet another colorful character who hangs out here.
Yeah, well, ever since I got here, I've been hearing this ethereal kind of music. Where's that coming from?
That's coming from a drummer named Ipe who plays a lot of different instruments. And he's over in the corner.
I'm gonna go check him out. He's a drummer?
Yes.
I'm gonna check him
But
out.
he's playing a chord.
Okay. So are you usually here when people come to see the museum?
Oh yeah,
And what's your main function here?
to provide the ambiance, the music.
Ambiance and music, that's cool. So if I come back down, can I jam with you again?
Sure.
Cool. That was a cool guy. This is a great place. I'm gonna bring my daughter here and buy some beads.
As always, we had a great time in Detroit. There are so many interesting people to meet and inspiring stories to tell here. We will definitely be back for more.
Donuts? I don't think I've ever tried one before. And you say they're made of fried circles of dough. Well, I suppose I could try one. Or 5.
Now you're about to meet a family who decided it was time to leave Cambodia, time to start a new life, and eventually, that's right, time to make the donuts. Donuts. I love you.
If you want a bakery with heart and soul, Dom Bakery in Ypsilanti is it. Almost 40 years ago, Faye and his wife Lee came all the way from Cambodia looking for the American dream. And not only did they find it, they're actually frosting some of it and filling some with cream. The bakery is conveniently located right down the street from Eastern Michigan University. Can you say study fuel? It's also frequented by folks as old as me, because let's face it, these sweet treats bridge all the generations. Now, before I dive into my first of many donuts, I thought a little dialogue with Lee and her son Paul would be lovely.
Now, Lee, I understand you're very shy, so thank you very much for being on camera with me. But you need to answer one question for me. Are donuts really the national food of Cambodia?
No,
No.
we just came here. We just came here. We know they have donut here.
Where did you learn to make the donuts?
I learned from friends. They have a shop, and then after that, and then I didn't know what to do because I just got here. I didn't speak English good, and then I went to the donut shop and learned how to sell the donut.
And Paul, you've been working, the whole family works here, right? It's a family affair? Has it brought the family closer together, or are you just all addicted to donuts?
Oh yeah, it's brought the family closer together since we're always working and we see each other every day.
So your dad's the master baker back there, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
He works very hard, I notice.
Every day.
When do you guys rest?
No choice.
No choice, you're just
No
here.
choice.
Like
Just
major holidays, we close for like a day
For
or a
15
half day.
minutes.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. But we find time to rest.
You came here, you have a successful business, wonderful children. I'm assuming you're wonderful. You look wonderful. Does that make you happy?
yeah, I'm happy because I came in, and then I want my children to be happy. That's why I'm working hard.
That is so well said, because that's all we ever want for our children is for them to be happy. I don't care if they're rich or poor, as long as they're happy, that's all you want. One last question. How come you guys are so thin? You guys make donuts all day.
You get tired of them after a while. She eats donuts every day, right?
Where do they go? How do you even do that?
Always up and going, yeah. She's always running around, so she probably burns off all the calories.
So if donuts are a superfood to you, head to Dom Bakery in Ypsilanti. They'll fill your mind, body, and soul with something that's as much fun to make as it is to eat. But personally, I like the eating part better.
When it rains, we have to make adjustments in the show to be inside in a comfortable B&B. And the Kalamazoo house fit our needs to a T.
You know, I usually do my stand-up standing out in front of the places we feature, but, well, it's raining out today, and I didn't want my mustache to get frizzy. So I'm in the luxurious Kalamazoo house here in downtown Kalamazoo. Yes, I am.
The Kalamazoo House Historic Bed and Breakfast is one of my favorite places to stay. And Kalamazoo is one of my favorite cities in Michigan. And for good reason. It's a place that's known for its art, innovation, and friendly people.
And the downtown is full of history, classic architecture, and a great variety of places to eat, drink, and even think. And Western Michigan University and Kalamazoo College give this town a constant positive energy and creative vibe. Kalamazoo is located in southwest Lower Michigan, just 2 hours west of Detroit and 1 hour south of Grand Rapids. Meanwhile, back inside.
So what do you call it when you help beautify a city, preserve history, and create great new housing for people with special needs? Well, here in Kalamazoo, they call it the Rickman House.
Let's face it, some folks in our world just need a little extra help. And at the Rickman House, people with special needs are given a place to live with both dignity and a great sense of place in their community. Michelle Jackson is the Executive Director of Housing Resources, Inc., and she's got a heart as big as the difference this place is making in so many people's lives.
You know, I always say on the show that you have to save buildings like this because they'll never build them like this again.
Absolutely.
What was the Rickman House originally?
It was the Rickman Hotel, or Hotel Rickman. There used to be a huge sign on the building.
Really?
So in 1907, started planning for it, opened in 1908, advertised as the most fireproof hotel there was, glad that there was electricity powering it and cold and hot water in every unit. So it was quite the place in its day.
But the transformation, was it specifically for special needs people?
Absolutely. Affordable housing is crucial, and specifically permanent housing, so that people who were in psychiatric institutions didn't need to live there anymore. They could be living in permanent housing in the communities in which they grew up and were raised, with dignity and respect in a beautiful space.
What do you think this means to this part of the city and to this community?
I think it's very important, just the vibrancy that it brings. Obviously the structure is phenomenal and the architecture, but it means a lot to this community to have this, especially as permanent housing. These are less people that are on the streets or transitioning from hospitals or other places.
Terry Durian is just one of the people who live and thrive in this beautiful and safe environment.
You really like living here?
Yes. For a lot of reasons, too. I mean, I like that they're staffed 24/7. It helps me to feel safe. I know when I have a hard time, I can come down and talk to somebody. And if I'm having a hard time, they can always get a worker that can come over and assist me.
You're very lucky.
Yes, very much so, yes.
You should see my house. You're very lucky. What's in the future for this place?
The future is this is permanent housing. So right now we are full. We've been full for a number of months, and we continue to provide support services to the people that live here. It's a place for people to come in common areas and relax. There are support groups and activities that happen for the people that live here. We are all about the maintenance of this building and keeping it as fresh and new as we can with that historic aspect.
I was lucky enough to spend a few quality minutes with building old-timer Clifford Beverly. He's a gentleman through and through. And we talked and laughed about this great old building and about the great new place he has to live.
Clifford, right?
Yeah.
Should I call you Cliff or Clifford?
You can call me Clifford.
How long you been living in this building?
Off and on, I've been living here about 43 years.
43 years? That's back when I had my full head of hair.
Yeah.
You like it here?
I love it here.
Yeah. You can live in safety and dignity. In a beautiful place.
Yeah.
And everybody deserves that.
I'm 83 years old, and I cook for myself. I clean for myself.
Do you cook and clean for yourself?
Yes.
You're doing better than I am. We should, well, you know, I'll have to taste your food, but mine's pretty interesting.
It's times like these that really make you appreciate the human spirit and what people are willing to do for each other. Every town should have a Rickman House.
In our never-ending quest to find a frog that kisses us back, we figured we'd hit a place that contains, well, a lot of frogs.
Hello, operator? Yes, could you please connect me with a town that's got great history, awesome shopping, and really good restaurants? Yeah? Oh, how do you spell that? Okay, yeah, great. Okay, thank you. Oh, wait. Where is it? Oh, darn it. Oh.
Well, while I sort things out, I will tell you that the town of Owosso was named after Chief Owosso, an Ojibwa tribal leader who lived in these parts. Today, Owosso is a thriving community with tons of history, a great downtown to explore, and tons of food fit for, well, you. It's also the largest city in Shiawassee County, which would put it right about, well, let's go to the map and find out exactly where the heck I am. Awesome Owosso is located pretty much near the middle of Michigan's mighty mitten. Just go to Lansing, look up and to your right, and there she is.
You know, Owosso is known for a lot of really great things. But poison dart frogs? What's up with that? Oh, look, there's one right there.
You heard right. Thanks to a place called Josh's Frogs, Owosso is now the largest breeder of poisonous dart frogs in the entire world. This unassuming building is tucked away right here in town. And if you're looking for a fascinating new hobby, this place is heaven. Zach Brinks is a frogman who took his love for these little leapers and helped turn this place into a genuine Michigan success story.
2 questions.
Yeah.
How close am I to the poison dart frogs, and should I be scared?
You're about 100 yards away from the poison dart frogs on the floor below us, and you shouldn't be as scared.
Right.
Because all the dart frogs are not toxic. They actually get their toxins from the bugs they ate in the wild. So unless you recreate a rainforest in your living room, any poison dart frogs you may ever come across will be completely harmless and no threat to you.
You haven't seen my living room. How many frogs and insects do you have here?
Insects in the millions, easily. Frogs on the order of the thousands. So the vast majority of them are produced right here on site in Owosso, Michigan.
Well, how did this all start with you and Josh just collecting bugs in your garage?
Yeah, growing up, Josh lived near a swamp. He'd go and collect stuff. For me, I grew up with horrible allergies and asthma, and so I couldn't really have your traditional, like, haired pets. So, I could have a scaly pet. So my parents let me get a snake when I was 6, and it kind of, grew from there. Josh, it was a passion, it was a hobby. So he started getting some of the supplies and selling them for extra income so he could afford to keep these animals, and it just kind of blossomed over time.
So you not only breed and sell frogs, but you breed and sell the food for them, the plants they need?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and that's what you can kind of see around us too. We want to make sure that if you buy a frog, not only are you getting a healthy animal and getting all the knowledge you need to take care of it, you want to be able to get the full setup, all the feeder insects, and that environment to make them happy in your home.
So the majority, or if not all, of the frogs you sell, and toads, apparently, they're all bred in captivity.
Yeah, exactly. We will never sell a wild-caught animal or profit from it. That's a stance we take. Wild-caught animals are necessary. I mean, those animals you breed to make more animals have to come from somewhere. But we'd really rather them come, from captivity.
Well, that's really great, because that way, like you said, you're not endangering the species in the wild, but you're still giving people the chance to appreciate these rare and exotic animals.
Exactly. I mean, people hear about the rainforest disappearing every day. Most people don't get on a chance to go on a plane and go check out this rainforest or anything. They have to experience it in different ways. A great way to do that is through exotic animals, if done responsibly. If you can experience something, you care for it, and if you care for it, you can serve it.
So with all that being said, Zach took me back to Kibitz with some critters.
So this is an Amazon milk frog.
Amazon milk frog?
Yeah, they're called because when they're in the wild and they're really threatened, they can secrete a toxic milky substance out of their back. But this is a captive bred animal, so it doesn't get stressed out. It's used to a little bit of handling, so it won't do that for you.
Oh, you promise? Okay.
Probably.
He looks kind of blue.
Yeah, they're really, really neat. It's odd. Nobody's 100% sure why they're blue.
This is where I'm supposed to say, it's not slimy at all.
Yeah.
It's slimy.
Yeah. But they're blue because they actually have blue tissue, blue skin, even blue bones. And the inside of their mouth is blue.
Really? His bones are blue too?
Yep. Yeah, it's thought that if something was to attack this animal and injure it, that bright blue color might be enough to kind of startle it and give the frog a chance to run away.
He's got suction cups.
Yeah, these guys live up in trees. They actually live in tree holes, so they got to stick to stuff to get around.
Now, if I was to get a frog, if I was a first-time frog purchaser, would this be a good one for
Yeah, that could be a good one. They do pretty well at or slightly above room temperature.
Yeah.
They're pretty easy to take care of and keep clean. This is about as big as they're going to get, maybe a little bit bigger, so not too large of an environment, and they're pretty reasonably priced.
And he's housebroken?
Nope.
Now you tell me. Okay, I'll get him a house.
Well, they say the path to happiness starts with a happy home. But if you want a hoppy home, get a hold of the friendly folks at Josh's Frogs. They'll help you jump right into it, so to speak.
Way back in season 1, Tom and I realized we're really 2 guys that should not complain about our jobs. So when we got the call we're going to spend the day on the rivers of the Great Lakes Bay region, it was a resounding yes. Then we realized who we were spending the day with.
Johnny Panther Quest?
Sounds pretty cool, doesn't it?
Well, it sounds cool because it is.
Johnny Panther Quest Eco Tours take you on natural adventures throughout Michigan's wild water backcountry for an experience that will blow your natural mind.
When he's not using his superhero name, Will Houghton is the wild waterman who knows and loves every inch of these Everglades.
I gotta ask you, Johnny Panther Quest is probably the coolest name I ever heard in my life. You either love it or hate it. It's after an old hokey Ricardo Montalban B movie. He played a Florida Everglades Indian running barefoot through the swamps busting poachers. So we used to go down to Florida in the winter, race the motorcycles, and to stay in shape, we would run through the swamps. So we called it Johnny Panthering. How far is it to the Everglades? About 30 seconds. Oh, it's that close? That's good. I gotta tell you, I never had any idea that there were Everglades in Michigan. We call it the Everglades of Michigan minus the poisonous snakes and alligators. And as you'll see, it's pretty close. I was gonna ask you, are there any animals in here that are dangerous other than humans? Well, we think we saw a panther 2 years ago, or a cougar out here. Perfect, Johnny Panther Quest. Exactly. Hey, what's the best time to come out here? When you're breathing. The alternative's not so good.
Today's journey took us deep inside one of the most untouched habitats in Michigan, the Shiawassee National Wildlife Refuge.
How do you know which way to go up here? I go whichever way I want. I usually go up around the island. This is a confluence of the Tittabawassee on the right and the Shiawassee River on the left. And when I was a little boy, the water coming in from the left was blue-green, and the water coming in the right never froze. Over the years, it's done a complete flip-flop. All the water coming in from the left comes from downstate, Flint, Fenton, Holly, Chesaning. The water coming in from the right comes from up in northern Michigan, Wixom Lake, Sanford Lake.
How big are the Michigan Everglades?
18,000 acres or 32 square miles. It's part of the largest watershed in the state of Michigan. It drains over 9,000 square miles. It's one of the few watersheds in the world that flow in a northerly direction. The Amazon and Nile are a couple of other ones. And they call it the Shiawassee Flats because there's only 2 feet of vertical drop from St. Charles to Saginaw Bay, which is roughly 32 miles.
This isn't a 3-hour tour, is it?
No.
I always have to check that when I go on a boat.
I bill them as 3 to 5 hours, but yes, you are on the epic 3-hour tour.
What kind of different tours do you do?
I have several different trips and very technical names. This tour we're on today is called the Wide Part. Then I also run a trip called the Narrow Part, which is primarily through the Shiawassee State Game Area. Yeah. Then I have a tour called the Marathon Trip, where we go all the way from St. Charles to Saginaw and back.
Wow.
I have what I call the Cheap Trip down by east of Flint on the Flint River, which is really pretty in the fall. And then I have a tour called the Dam Trip, which runs in northern Michigan just west of Oscoda on Cook Pond, and we go from dam to dam. And for the more adventurous, water skiing, tubing, dune climbing.
Well, I heard you also have corporate team building trips. You have romantic. I heard you have a Mile In Club, but I don't even want to ask you about that.
You don't?
No, I don't even want to know about that.
All right. Well, you know what? Okay.
Yeah, but I hear you've got romantic trips. You've got corporate trips. You've got. I mean, it sounds like you're extremely adaptable, like nature.
It is. It's what I do is I cater to each individual party I guide. Like I did a team building trip on Monday, and there's a very posh bed and breakfast in Saginaw where I can pick couples up out of their backyard, drive them into the sunset, bring them back under the stars. They crawl out of my boat right into their room. So when I bring people out, it's real casual. It's almost like a mini Las Vegas. What happens in the boat stays in the boat.
Right.
But basically, I supply cooler ice and a bag of pistachios. People bring whatever they want to eat and drink. Cameras, binoculars, highly recommended. And we go out and rip and tear to their heart's content.
How long have you been doing this?
I've been doing this. This is my 19th year doing it professionally, and I've been doing it my whole life for fun.
The passion Will has for these natural wetlands is powerful, sincere, and intensely contagious. Not only did we get to tour and learn about an area most people don't even know about, we got to see at least a half a dozen bald eagles along the way. And for someone like me who's never seen one before, it's hard to describe how cool of an experience that was. The whole trip was filled with good humor, great conversation, and some pretty awesome stories.
What's the most rewarding thing for you personally about doing this?
When people shake my hand and thank me. I mean, this is my church or my playground. So when people say that I've far exceeded their expectations, that they had no idea this place existed, or they're going to go home and tell their friends, that's really rewarding. I used to work for a photographer who shot the Red Wings. And one day we were wiring up the Yost Hockey Arena, the U of M barn, and I came out from under the bleachers and this guy's yelling at me, Will. And I go and I'm looking at him, he says, I've got goosebumps. He says, you don't remember me, do you? And I says, no, I don't. He says, I'm that kid you took out and showed all those eagles to when I was 8. Here he's going to college at U of M.
I mean, I'm sorry, but it's incredible.
If you're looking to improve your quality of life, just let Will share some of his life with you. I guarantee when you're done, you'll wish you were Johnny Panther Quest.
Well, that was a good show. Revising these segments into shows that can be rewatched is fun and different. Now rewind it and watch it again. It'll be just as much fun as the first time. Or the second time, and well, the third time was pretty good. Fourth time, you'll see the little differences in the show.
A visit to the Stalls Auto Collection will take you back to a time when cars were more than just a way to get around. A fantastic assortment of gas pumps, neon signs, and automated music machines dating back 150 years that must be seen and heard. Info at stallsauto.com. Support provided by Destination Ann Arbor, your gateway to Chelsea, Dexter, Manchester, Milan, Saline, Ypsilanti, and Ann Arbor.